Almost every year there is a new Pokemon game released. This includes new games and remakes like Fire and Leaf Green and Heart Gold and Soul Silver. The popular opinion for all of these is that the remakes are a lot better than the original, but for some reason that is not the case for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Why is that?
Because they suck?
Okay, first of all, that is not true, and second, how did you get here? I was not expecting company.
Don't you remember we did a video on my channel? Click the annotation here, it's a good video, go watch it, yeah.
Oh yeah, I did appear on your channel, didn't I? Huh. Well anyway, as I was saying, ORAS gets a good amount of hate for not being as good as the original games, so I wanted to go over why that is just simply not true. ORAS are the better games.
False. The originals are better. Let's debate it.
Okay, we can debate it. How this will work is we will talk about the games in 3 categories: playability, graphics, and music. We will let each other make our case for each category, and at the end of the video, we will make our closing statements. And in the comment section below, we want you to tell us who you think made the better case.
Remember to pick whoever you think had the best arguments, not whoever was defending your favorite version.
I guess that's it. Eryizo, why don't you start us off?
The first category we are going to be talking about is playability. Where I believe Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire failed the most is the ability to keep you coming back to the games. The experience share and lower leveling made the games too easy, the Delta episode backtracked way too much, and who really cared about the Battle Maison? There was really nothing to come back to after you beat the games that are essentially the same as the originals. Yes, this does go the same for Ruby and Sapphire, but Pokemon Emerald shed an entirely different light to the games. The gyms were tough. They added the battle frontier, and there are a ton of things to do after the game. You can catch other legendaries, take on the aforementioned battle frontier, and even though Wallace is the champion, you can still fight Steven, who by the way, is stronger than Wallace.
Where I think ORAS shines the most are in the little changes that they made. First of all, I liked the change in story. It wasn't a big change, but I liked how much more involved your rival was in the story. It felt like they were not just your rival, but your friend. When the time was just right, they would challenge you to a battle, but would help you when you needed it the most. I also liked the redesigned cities and gyms. They felt like they had more of a personality to them, and not some generic design. Also, there was a lot to do in the post-game. There were the Mirage spots to catch legendaries like the Lake Trio, the Legendary Beast, the Swords of Justice Trio, and others like Dialga, Palkia, Lugia, and etc. Plus, because of the added Mega Pokemon, there are a ton of Mega Stones to collect. New ones and older ones. Also, I do have to admit that the Delta Emerald episode was a little boring, but I felt that there was a ton of great moments. Like the scene with Rayquaza launching into space, Zinnia explaining the lore to you while you scale Sky Pillar, and Zinnia's character in general was, in my opinion, a great addition. She was funny, energetic and crazy, and hot. Wait, what? So yeah, for me, ORAS always had me coming back to the game, whether it was to do some last minute legendary hunting or just to look at the pretty scenery. Speaking of the pretty scenery, ORAS, you have to admit, looks amazing. I love how cinematic it is, like the opening scene with you riding in the moving truck and your encounter with Phoebe in the Elite Four. I love each detail within each route and city, like in Petalburg Woods. I love how the sunlight shines down through the trees and hits the ground. It looks amazing. This is where Ruby and Sapphire kinda lacks. I know it was for the Game Boy Advance, but the style never deviated from, let's say, Red and Blue on the original Game Boy. It felt like it never took advantage of the upgraded hardware of the GBA. But with ORAS, it completely takes advantage of the 3DS, especially when you go flying on Latios and Latias. Going back to the gyms in particular, they look great, better than the originals. Just take a look at Roxanne's gym. It looks so much more appealing than the original version. Alongside all the fossils and mining equipment, you can even see a map of Hoenn. That's how much detail there is. Even Mauville City looks great. It no longer looks bland and unoriginal. Now it looks much more lively, especially the upstairs area. When it comes to the graphics, it is no competition that ORAS is the best.
While there is no argument that ORAS's graphics are better than the originals, you have to take into account the time differences between the games. Where you see the originals not taking advantage of the software, I see it being revolutionary graphically. Think about it. Ruby and Sapphire were the first main series Pokemon games on the Game Boy Advance. They had to deviate from the previous games and add new elements to the series. The new weather mechanic, the Pokemon animations, and let's not forget that beautiful sequence between Rayquaza, Kyogre, and Groudon. It's a freaking masterpiece. Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire already had a good base to build upon graphically with X and Y. The originals had to start from scratch and be innovative, and in my opinion, they definitely accomplished that. Speaking of innovative, can we just take a second to appreciate the genius that is the Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire soundtrack? When it comes to music, there is nothing better than the originals. Themes like Little Root Town, Evergrande City, and especially Lily Cove's theme. Oh my god, are they memorable. Which brings me to the remakes. Although I will say I do like some of the themes in the remakes, like Wally's Encounter theme or Zinnia's battle theme, but for the most part I felt like the reorchestrated themes are not nearly as good as the originals. Also, going from Game Boy Color music to Game Boy Advance music made a huge improvement to the systems. The Game Boy Color music sounded pixelated with a ton of really high frequencies, whereas the Game Boy Advance music sounds more smooth. The improvements between the two systems was just too good. To me, going to Lily Cove City didn't sound like a wave of frequencies. It sounded like a wave of relaxing music, kinda like how an ocean city should sound.
I'm sorry, but I do think the music is better in ORAS. Not only do I think that the remixes are better, but there are new themes added to this game that sound fantastic. Just to give some examples of some of the remixes, here are just a few for you to enjoy. This remix has to be my favorite. But for me, what really blows away the competition are the new themes like Zinnia's Encounter and Battle theme. And Wally's battle theme. The new music in ORAS sounds so much clearer. Themes like Little Root Town and Lily Cove City sound very peaceful and relaxing to the ear. I like how you can hear each instrument clearly and how they're more slowed down. I also like how upbeat and energetic the battle themes can be, like the Rivals battle theme and Wally's battle theme. There's so much more going on in them that makes them so much more enjoyable than the original, especially the Rival battle theme. None of the remixes change the music too much that it makes it unrecognizable, but just enough that it enhances the music to be better than the original. Case closed. ORAS music is better. I guess that is all I have to say. I personally think that ORAS are the better versions when you take everything that I have said into account. The visuals, the better storytelling, and the music make ORAS honestly the better experience. That's all I was really trying to go for with this video. Show that ORAS really isn't all that bad, and when you take the time to really think about it, it really is the better games. Or at least deserves a lot less hate.
There is no doubt that the remakes of Ruby and Sapphire are good games, but let's take a step back from trying to say that they're better than the originals. The originals brought innovation, musical genius, and without a doubt one of the toughest and most entertaining stories out of all the games in the franchise.
Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, then make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're coming from Eryizo's channel, then welcome. I do anything video game related, mostly Nintendo of course. I do reviews, top 10s, and so much more, so I hope you enjoy your stay. And I of course want to thank my good friend Eryizo for joining me in this video to give his 2 cents. We also did a video over on his channel, so if you haven't watched that yet, then make sure to click the annotation on the very top. And if you want to see my last video, then click the annotation at the bottom. And if you're watching this from the future and you want to see the next video, then click the annotation in the middle. Once again, I want to thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope you all have a great day.